Hey there, Grandmaster Igor Smirnov is here, and today I'd love to share with you the concept that our students enjoyed the most. They really told me many times that these concepts help them to solve the problem they've had for years, but now they know how to deal with it and how to bring their chess to the next level. Alright, so let's create some opening position, something fairly standard, where your opponent tries hard to attack you, and lots of your opponents are playing just like that. Even when the attack does not seem fully correct, they're still going for it, and very often you feel a little bit confused, you're not sure what to do. So let's go here in the stealing variation. Let's say white tries attacking you over here right away, pushing h4, h5. I mean, generally speaking, like the classical chess books will tell you that, well, white should instead develop. But your opponents are trying to attack you anyway, and, well, you gotta deal with it. Let's imagine you just keep developing, you're playing seemingly correct thing. White keeps playing bishop e2 to support this advancement. Let's say you castle, white goes h5, you go knight c6, so far so good, you just develop. But white opens up the h-file, and now goes bishop to h6. And now preparing to take here, maybe, bring the queen over there and to checkmate you. Okay. What do you do about that? And again, the similar situation may occur, of course, in various different openings. It doesn't really matter. It's just the overall pattern so that you need to know how to deal with it. You may actually think about this for a second yourself. How would you play here if this is your move to play? Like, which moves would you consider for black? And of course, there are plenty of options, actually. I've just checked it in the database, and the most played move is knight takes d4. Black is getting worried about, white's attack is perhaps he's trying to trade pieces and somehow secure his position. Also after knight to d4, they play bishop e6, trying to cover, I guess, this weak diagonal. So black is kind of start looking for ways to hold their position. But there is another idea that I'd love to suggest to you that you may think about for a little while, because I think that it's a great mindset shift that allows you to become a much stronger player in no time. So here's the idea. The idea is whenever your opponent goes forward, that leaves something behind undefended. Whenever your opponent stretches out too much, that makes their territory weaker, more vulnerable, and you can take advantage of that. Okay? For example, right now, okay, white started pushing the pawn forward, and he seemingly created some little threats there, but on the other hand, their own king is stuck in the middle of the board, while your king has already castled, and therefore it feels safer. Of course, right now, white still theoretically has the opportunity to castle. Let's say they trade and they castle, so they can sneak away to safety. And if you want to stop that, for example, you can initiate this exchange on h6 yourself. And then this forces the rook to move, and now white can't castle kingside anymore, and in order to castle queenside, white needs to prepare it further. Here's another thing to think about. Since white brought this dark squared bishop out and traded it off, white doesn't have the dark squared bishop anymore, and therefore some of the dark squares may be more vulnerable. And if, let's say, you play queen b6 and take aim at them, you can see that it's much harder for white to defend them somehow. With the white's bishop on c1, that was no problem. The bishop was defending that one. The bishop could go here to e3 and defend the knight, but without the bishop, that is a real issue. How do I defend these pawns and the knight? If, for example, knight comes to b3, then there is another weakness of white, another dark square pawn, and as you go knight g4, that is actually the end for white. You're attacking the rook here, you're also attacking the queen. Your rook comes into play just as well, and white is defenseless. For example, bishop takes g4, queen f2, kind of scholars checkmate. As you can see, this completely turns the situation upside down when your opponent starts playing aggressively, going after your king. Instead of thinking, how do I defend, you start noticing that actually weakens their position, and you can take advantage of that. And in this fairly common example, black could win the game just within really a few moves, could literally checkmate white, and there wasn't like many options for white actually to avoid that. Anyway, perhaps white could play some other move, but their position was pretty bad anyway. So that's how you become a lot more aggressive player, and that's how actually masters and grandmasters think in their own games. And let me illustrate this with one more example, perhaps the most common example, and you probably have questions about that just as well. Not too long ago, I recorded a video about the Cully system, which is a nice opening for white to play. By the way, if you're interested, you may find the link somewhere up there and check it out later. And here, many players, many of you guys, ask me in comments, like what to do if black goes bishop g4, and pins the knight. What am I going to do in that case? Well, if black goes bishop g4, now, what is the usual response? Well, most players play bishop e2. They see the pin, they want to neutralize it. No, but I want you to start thinking about it differently. Again, whenever your opponent goes forward like too much and kind of overextends, that creates some weaknesses, and you can take advantage of them. How do you do it here? Well, first you can use a similar motif to the previous game that we analyzed. For lack of black's light square bishop on the queen side is left undefended. And you can play c4 followed by queen b3 and take aim at that pawn. And, you know, that actually causes some problems for black to solve. It's not that easy to figure out what to do for black here. Okay, so that's one way to go about this. The other way, which is even stronger, is just to go after that bishop, because that bishop, yes, on the one hand, it creates that pin, but on the other hand, this is too close to your position. It is so easy for you to attack it. Like, how do you attack this dark square bishop? There is no way. How do you attack the light square bishop? Easy, just h3, right? And you can keep chasing it. g4, bishop g6, knight e5. Black brought this bishop close to your position by themselves, and now you can say thank you and take advantage of that. Start attacking that vulnerable piece. Your idea here, after like play something like d7 or whatever, is just to go h5, you know, and capture this bishop simply. And that can very well be the case, because after h5, you know, and f3 if necessary, if the bishop comes here, so the bishop will be locked and will be captured. If black wants to somehow secure it, they'll have to play h5, but that allows you to initiate this exchange and break up black's pawn structure. Now after bishop d3, you know, this is actually a checkmating threat. After king f7, you can keep attacking with the move g5, and black suffers badly. You're ready to play queen f3 check on the next move. Let's say the knight goes back, queen f3 check, king goes here, bishop g6, you know, threatening this checkmate on the f7 square. Black played knight d6, but that didn't help. After queen to d5, that is nearly a checkmate. I mean, black gets like a knight or a pawn, but that is essentially a checkmate. And this whole catastrophe happened for black for lack of their light square bishop. Notice that you're attacking all the light squares, which are currently undefended, and which black allowed you to attack by their premature development of their bishop. And here is a position that I received most of the wow comments from the students, so I hope that you will enjoy it just as well. I was really fascinated to see this example. It is black to move here. Obviously white here overextended on the queen side, and black took advantage of that by starting the attack against white's king. And right now black played queen to c3, going forward. And here's the question. What if white goes queen d2, trying to challenge your queen? How would you play here as black? That's the question. Please think about this, and if you can find the right solution, please write it down in the comments below. Now, this is a fairly complex theme, so I don't expect everyone to find it, but if you are capable of finding it, I'll be proud of you, okay? So that was just this single concept that I think can help you to turn your game into a much more aggressive chess. And overall, I've took it from the course Top 25 Middle Game Concepts, because overall, from my experience, there are 25 concepts that if you know them about the middle game, then you're covered fully and you become an advanced level player, basically. So if you're curious to know, I'll link down my course about that in the description, and you can join other students and study the complete course. If not, then consider subscribing, and I'll talk to you in my next videos. Thank you.